Hello, this is Peter Merrick, and I'm back. And I wanted to share with you what I call the Merrick 6 questions. These are the 6 questions that people ask in life. You're going to go and ask me, that's pretty bold that I said that I have 6 questions that people ask in their life. And it's very age centric. So people usually ask these questions at a certain age. And the question you might have before I go into these questions happens to be, how did I come about realizing that there were the 6 questions that we must ask to move on to another level of our development? And I can't even begin to tell you what I didn't read. I went through about a 25-year period that I was reading anywhere from 2 to 4 books a week. I was searching for something. I'll tell you what I was searching for. I was searching for a calm inside. And I got to share with you what happened. And it happened around 45, 46. I could have sat under a tree and come to comfort. What I wanted to do is become comfortable with who I was. And that happens with age. So let me share with you what these 6 questions are, and you'll understand why they're so important to understand and to ask ourselves, how are we answering these questions now? Because it changes. So we ask the first question, which is, who am I? It's an identity question. It's basically we're trying to figure out who we are and how we adapt in this world. So when you're a baby, you're a sponge. You take on being your nationality, your religion, everything. You start trying things on, and you actually identify yourself in the world. That when you're first born, you really don't have an identity, but you quickly take it on. Number 2, when we happen to be around high school age, we start asking, how do we fit in? We're in this world, and we're now going to start seeing, am I friends with this person? Am I that type of person? It's more than just an identity. We want to go and look at how we fit into the social order. And for those of you who went through high school, some of you it was the best time, some of you it was terrible because we're so affected how people thought of us. And again, this is age-centric. However, some people might get stuck at just the identity question. Some people might get stuck on how they fit in to the world. Number 3, around 20, and this usually happens when people are finished school, in our 20s, the question that arises is, what will I do? Now that's different than the identity question, which is number 1, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what will we do to make ourselves productive in this world. Will we get married? What type of profession will we do? Where will we live? So what will I do? And this becomes so important, and many people believe that people asking that question are actually driving the economy because they're acquiring things, because at that point you're staring out at the world. So when we take on our identity, we're focusing outwards for that. When we're looking at the world and how we fit in, we're looking outwards. And when we're trying to figure out what we will do, we're looking outward. Now let me share with you what happens when we reach number 4. And it usually happens around middle age. And that question is, who have I become? Because we're no longer planning who we're going to become. We're actually living our lives. And some people move into that gracefully, and other people don't. And they have the midlife crisis. So this happens usually around our 40s. Now, a lot of these individuals at that point make drastic changes in their lives because they're unsatisfied, because they're really frightened about what's happening. Remember the first 3 questions? Who am I? How do I fit in? And what will I do? That's all focusing outside ourselves. The 4th question is, who have I become? That requires us to go inwards, to start asking, what are my values? What did I want? Did I live up to what I thought was important? Am I living the life that I want to, or am I living off of someone else's script? So how you answer that question and what you do, you can either go through a midlife crisis because you're having a problem of making those adjustments, because when you start going in, there's a reason why that happens. You understand that death is no longer theoretical, it's something that can happen to you. And if you answer that question properly, you will be able to start the death of your ego, of what you think you are. Now, around 55, and this is where my business is, in succession planning and helping business owners take money out. This is where it begins. Around 55, an individual starts asking the question, what have I accomplished? This is number 5, because they know that there's more days behind them than in front of them. They start asking these questions. They start taking stock of their lives. They start getting a perspective. Again, just like the question before, who have I become? What have I accomplished? Requires me to take stock and be honest. Instead of looking out there, it forces me to look inwards. Now, people are asking the question, what have I accomplished? Usually, if a mature individual, especially in business, and just a general mature person, they are now focused on not outwardly but inwardly. They're actually deconstructing their ego, and they're also putting their affairs in order to actually empower themselves to answer the last question. And the last question is, what will my legacy be? I now fully understand that my trips, my circuits around the sun are almost over. And the question is, what will I leave future generations? How have I left this world better than I found it? And those in history who've asked that question earliest have left the greatest legacies. So I want to go over those questions again. And again, I'm asking you, depending on your age, to start asking these questions of yourself. 1, who am I? How do you identify who you are? Remember, that's looking outwards, how you're looking at people mostly, how they define you. And what's really key when you address that, especially when you get older, is you want to actually identify yourself by being innerly directed, meaning you come to terms that what you are, and outwardly focused. You're going to work within the world and make the world better than you found it. Number 2, how do you fit in? Each of us fit in differently, and you have to be comfortable with that. And again, the example of high school, many people are not comfortable. Number 3 is, what will I do? What career will you do? How will you make yourself productive? What type of way are you going to go forth into the world as an adult who has your own agency over yourself? Middle age, number 4, the question is now inwardly focused. It's who I become. I'm no longer planning my life, I'm in my life. Number 5 is, what have I accomplished? Putting everything in order. And number 6 is, what will my legacy be? These are my questions that I offer to each and every one of you. My work is based on the last 2 questions. I work with really successful business owners where I either prep their businesses to sell and get the most amount of money so they are able to go and direct their energy to creating their legacy. So, make these your questions. Find your own answers. Because I have to share with you, going within is where all the fruit is, all the treasures. So thank you so much. If you like this video, like, share, make a comment, and if we're not friends, I'm looking forward to knowing exactly how you choose to answer your life questions. Have a wonderful weekend.